everyone, welcome to that new video by Kingston Libraries, and today I'm really excited because with my colleagues Beth, Fran and Lou, we are bringing you a very extensive recommendation video because we are finally launching our 2021 Adult Reading Challenge. So if you don't know about the Reading Challenge, we've been running that for 3 years now, and basically we have each year 36 categories that are different every year. And to participate you need to read at least 6 books during the year from these categories, and you can read up to 36 books obviously. So it's a kind of a way to make you read something different, or try to make you discover a book that you wouldn't have known about otherwise. And we are really happy to launch that finally this year. If you want to join the Reading Challenge, that's really easy. You can just go on our Facebook page, on our different social media. And we also have a Facebook group if you want to share your opinions or ask for reading advice from librarians or from other Reading Challenge participants. So the Facebook group is called Kingston Libraries Adult Reading Challenge 2021. I'm going to put the link in the description obviously, and I'm also going to put the links to the different information about the challenge if you want to participate. And we decided to make that video because last year we did an event where we invited every participant to come, and along with other colleagues we decided to present you one book from each category to kind of give you an idea of what the category are and also maybe some ideas of what to read. And obviously we are closed at the moment, so we decided to make that as a video so you can watch it and rewatch it as you want, as much as you want. And we're just going to go through all the categories. Feel free to skip ahead, come back, watch the video at your leisure. Please take note because we're already talking about books that we really love or think we are fitting really well in the different categories. So I'm just going to leave my colleague start with the first category.
A book with the name of a country in the title. For this category I chose From Russia with Love by Ian Fleming, which is of course a James Bond novel. It is available on Libby and Overdrive, and I personally love the James Bond films, but I haven't really read any of the books, so I can't wait to dive into one of those. I'm sure they're full of thrills and adventure and a little bit of romance, because they always are.
The book I'm recommending for category 2, a book with an animal as the main character, is Life of Pi by Jan Marlow. It's a story of a teenage boy who loses his family in a shipwreck and finds himself stranded on a lifeboat with only an adult Bengal tiger for company. It's a really brilliantly written story and very life affirming, and I hope you enjoy it. It is available on Libby as an ebook to borrow, and also can order as a library book for when we are reopened.
For category 3, which is a book that jumps around in time, so all about time travel or anything that has to do, yes, with bending time to achieve your goal, I decided to talk about Kindred by Octavia Butler. So it's quite a hard book to read, it's quite violent at times. It's a story of a young African-American girl that basically, by we don't know which sorcery, goes back to slavery time in America and gets trapped at this time, and along the novel she goes back and forth from her normal time, the present and the past, and it's really intense. It also exists as a graphic novel that we have in the libraries, so if you want to read it you can do that. Category 4 is a book that is published in 2021, so we're still very early in the year, but I really want to tell you about a book that I haven't read yet because it's not been published, but it's Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. I love all of his books. Maybe you read The Buried Giant, maybe you read Never Let Me Go, and it's a book that I'm really looking forward to read because I've never been disappointed by his books. So if you're in the same situation as me, that's one that I would really advise you to read because I'm pretty sure it's going to be really good.
A book with a yellow cover. I have chosen My Shit Therapist by Michelle Thomas. It is a mental health memoir that I actually read when I started working at the library. It is available in Branch but also on Overdrive and Libby. It's a mental health memoir from Michelle Thomas about her experiences of living with depression and anxiety, and all her funny experiences and anecdotes from all her time in therapy, and maybe some of the not so good therapists she's come across.
The book I'm recommending for category 6, a book with a more famous adaptation, I am recommending The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. This book was recently made into the Netflix TV series Bridgerton, which was very, very popular, and I'll very briefly tell the plot. It's a story of a young woman named Daphne Bridgerton who has just made her debut into Regency London high society, and it's about her journey to try and find a good marriage for herself, while also weaving around the scandals of that time as well. It's available on Libby to borrow as a book, or again as physical copy to borrow from the library when we're reopened.
Category 7 is a book about a game, so it can be a board game, it can be a video game, it can be things like Hunger Games, for instance. And the book I want to talk about today is Ready Player 2. So you probably heard about Ready Player 1 by Ernest Cline that was adapted in the cinema last year by Steven Spielberg. And there's actually a second volume of the book that was published a few months ago, and I actually just finished it and I really enjoy it. So if you like the first volume or if you like the movie, you will probably love the second volume.
A less famous book by a famous author. So for this one, I chose a classic by Thomas Hardy. Obviously, Thomas Hardy is well known, but this particular book, Tuana Tower, is not so well known, but it's actually my favourite of his. I did do an ebook review for it last year, so if you want more information about the book, you can check that out.
My recommendation for Category 9, a book of classical literature, is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Available as a physical item to reserve when our library branches reopen, it is also available to be downloaded as an e-audiobook and e-book from the Libby Overdrive app. We are introduced to an orphan 10-year-old Jane who has already been the victim of harsh treatment from her only living relatives. She is a victim of mental and physical abuse, and her escape into a school environment is no easier. A new flourishing love and friendship is torn at its seams, and everything she treasured is lost. How can someone so young recover from such unspeakable heartbreak over and over again? She is not plain. We see she is determined, she is intelligent, sprightly and bright, and it is this fierceness inside her, a flame, that not only ensures her successful employment as a governess, but sparks a new and very deep relationship with a misunderstood Mr. Rochester.
A book you heard about on the radio or on the TV. For this category, I have chosen Methos by Stephen Fry. I heard about it when he was on the show years ago when the book first came out. I think it was like the One Show or something. And I love Greek mythology and I love Greek retellings. And so Stephen Fry's books are just perfect for me and they're really enjoyable. He's got a really amazing way of writing. So check that one out.
Category 11 is a book with the word girl in the title, and for this one I decided to choose The Girl in Red by Christina Henry. If you don't know Christina Henry, she mainly writes a dark and twisted kind of horrific version of fairy tales or other stories that we know. She did Peter Pan, for example, which is my favorite Christina Henry book, called The Lost Boy. But The Girl in Red is all about a retelling of the Little Red Riding Hood in a post-apocalyptic world, basically. So, she has to go to her grandmother, but she has to cross an entire country completely devastated by, I think if I remember well, it's a disease. So who knows maybe what the world would look like in 3 years? We don't know. So but it is a really good book, and I really enjoyed the way she actually adapted this fairy tale we all know into a very dark and really intense book.
The book I'm going to talk about for category 12, which is a book which has won the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction, is We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lionel Shriver. This book is about a woman whose son Kevin has committed a really heinous act of violence, and it's about her journey of motherhood from when Kevin was born to the present day, and her journey of learning whether or not she was responsible for his act of violence. It is available on Libby as an audiobook and an ebook, and is available as a physical copy in the library.
My recommendation for category 13, a book featuring the supernatural, is Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. This is book 1 of the Dark Sword trilogy and is available for you to download as an ebook and e-audiobook from the Libby Overdrive app, and you can reserve a physical copy when our branches reopen. This book is very unusual as we are introduced to Tracker. He's a hunter known across the 13 kingdoms as the one with the nose, entrusted with the task of retrieving a missing boy who's been missing for 3 years. Tracker has already broken his own rule by being accompanied on this trip. He's normally a solo worker, and yet he finds himself in the company of the beguiling, unnerving, and even more so dangerous witch, giant, and shape-shifting man-leopard. As they eagerly seek the trail of the boy and sniff out his scent, they cross enchanted realms, brave infested waters, and yet are attacked by murderous foes. Who is hiding the boy? What makes him so mysterious? And who is speaking the truth about their purpose for retrieving him? And who is telling the most life-altering and dangerous lies?
A book without the letter H in the title. This was a little bit harder to find a book, but I chose Caraval by Stephanie Garber. It is a fantasy book. It's very similar to The Night Circus, if anyone's read that. And it's very carnivalesque. It's got lots of romance and adventure in it. It's all centred around this carnival called Caraval, and it's like a game and a mystery, but it keeps you gripped. It's really amazing, and it's the first in a series too. It's available in branch in a physical copy, and you can order it obviously from other libraries and collect it in your relevant branch.
Category 15 is a librarian recommendation. For that, nothing's easier. You can just reach us on social media. You can look on our Instagram when we are having our Tea with the Librarian sessions, where you can ask questions live. You can join our Reading Challenge Facebook group, or you can watch our recommendations that we are posting all the time on our different social media. It's really easy to have a recommendation for us. Or if you really want, you can just use that as a joker and pretend the librarian recommended the book for you. We will never check out anyway, so check it out anyway, so feel free to cheat a little bit the system.
For category 17, a book featuring a witch, my recommendation is We Are Blood and Thunder by Kessia Lupo. You may download the ebook version from our Libby Overdrive app, and you may place a reservation for a physical copy when our library branches reopen. Imagine how it must feel to be sealed into a city, with fear as your only friend. Terror courses through your veins, and a cold fright and shiver are all that you know. This is exactly how Lena feels following her recent conviction and sentence to death for being a mage. She flees for her life and now must place all her trust in the very people she has been raised to fear, those who possess the power of magic. On the other side of the locked gates in the forest is a woman who wears a mask. Constance is her name. And she is not prepared to conceal who she is any longer. She is very aware of the thoughts of the dukedom's forest dwellers, their feelings are magic, and all around them they witness the devastation left in the wake and the growing power of a terrifying storm. Lena and Constance do not realise that this is in fact a spell binding them together. They need each other. After all, they are made of the blood and the thunder.
Category 18 is a book by an Indian author, and for this one I am really passionate about a book called The Mistress of Spices by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a very beautiful book with a lot of magic realism in it. It's a story, I can't really tell about the story without spoiling the book, but it is really lovely, really poetic. There's a bit of a love story in it as well, and it's just really gorgeous and lovely, and it will bring you very warm, fuzzy feelings. So yeah, The Mistress of Spices. Category 19 and 20 are actually two categories that I'm really excited about. Category 19 is a book that you've been really looking forward to. So a book that either you put aside because you really wanted to enjoy it, so you wanted to really find the right time to read, or a book that is going to be published soon that you're really excited about. So yeah, a book that you've really been looking forward and waited in excitement to read. And category 20 is actually the other side of it. It's a book you've been avoiding, so maybe a book that seems a little bit too difficult or that you haven't really found the right time to read. So now is the time. Get on that book. Maybe you're going to make an amazing discovery and you're going to be wondering, why did I wait so much to read this one? I still don't know what book I'm going to read that I've been avoiding. There have been a few and I need to find one, but this is really personal, so we're not going to talk about a specific book for these two categories. Category 21 is a graphic novel, and I can't not talk about Brazen by French author Pénélope Bagieux that received an Eisner Award for this book, I think. Brazen is... I'm French, and it's been such a pleasure when I saw that it's been translated in English, because for years it's been my Christmas and birthday present by default. I love this book that much that I've been offering it to all my friends and colleagues, and now it's been translated in English, so I can do that in the UK as well. Brazen is talking about exceptional or less exceptional women, but women that had an impact and women that decided their own path even when it was not necessarily possible in society. So each story is a couple of pages long, but you're going to discover women that had an incredible story that you never heard about before, or you're going to rediscover some people that you thought you knew or you knew for something, and then you're going to discover they had that amazing life that no one knew about. And it is the graphics are beautiful, the stories are amazing. I can't recommend this book enough. My colleague Lou made a video review for this book, so if you want to learn a little bit more before reading it, you can go see that review. I will put the link in the description. But yeah, please, even if you're not participating in the challenge, please go read Brazen by Pénélope Bagieux, because it is my favorite graphic novel ever, and it is such a joy to have that in our collection. So yeah, Brazen.
My recommendation for category 22, a book written by an author whose surname begins with a vowel. It could of course only be Catherine Arden, and her magical twist on Russian folklore. This is book 1 of the Winter Night trilogy, and it is titled The Bear and the Nightingale. You may readily download the ebook version on our Libby Overdrive app, or you can reserve a physical copy from one of our library branches when we reopen. Fazia, from a very young age, has been spirited, much to the dismay of her family. She seeks comfort, sleeping on top of the stove with her beloved family, and soaks up the tales from her nurse of the necessity to give offerings and thanks to the spirits that protect their home, the doorways, the cupboards, outside in the forest, the boundaries, it is so key to not let these traditions falter for their very essential protection. Sadly, Fazia's birth was not met with celebration, but with heartbreak as her mother passed. Her father has since remarried a very devout Christian woman from St. Petersburg, and it is her goal to drive out all the zest and the independence in Fazia and to quash these ridiculous pagan beliefs. Much to Fazia's dismay and her growing powers, the undead are getting closer to her home. The ones she loves, their lives are in peril. Things are clawing at the door, and no mere wood will keep them out. Can a jewel secretly bestowed to her father upon Fazia's birth be the answer to her powers being unleashed and the family's safety? Or will the growing Christian faith put an end to everything that Fazia knows in the most devastating way?
The book I'm going to talk about for category 23, which is fantasy or science fiction book, is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. This book is available on Libby to borrow, and it tells the story of a woman named Bryce who has to traverse the city of Crescent City, which is full of all different magical creatures, as she tries to solve a crime which has affected her deeply in the past, and is a great mystery and really great world building there as well.
Category 24 is a book set in Paris, so Paris, city of love, all the glam. So I decided to talk to you about a very horrible book with death in it. So it's a book called Lullaby by Leila Slimani, which is actually a French book that's been translated in English, and it is a kind of thriller book about a nanny that has to keep some children and some weird things happen. It is a really good book. It is very well written. It is very heartbreaking, but such a, really, really good. You won't see the nice facade of Paris, but it is still a very, very intense book.
A book published in the 18th century. I've chosen Evelina by Frances Burney. I love reading classics by female authors because I think there's just something really special about hearing about women's experience from those times. So I would definitely recommend checking out Frances Burney. She's a really great writer, perhaps less well known. I didn't really know much about her until a friend recommended her books to me.
For category 26, which is a book which is being adapted into a film in 2021, I'm talking about 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. This book is about 9 people who all go to a wellness spa in the middle of Australian outback, with all of their different problems, conflicts and issues, and about them trying to come to terms with them. This book is available on Libby and also as a physical book in the libraries for when we reopened.
A book with a number in the title. I have chosen The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I read this last year and I absolutely devoured it. I loved it. It's like a fantasy kind of feel about it. It's like a murder mystery. Someone wakes up in a new body every day and has to try and solve a murder that takes place at midnight. I've not sold it very well, but it is an amazing book. And that is also available in Branch, but also on Overdrive and Libby.
Category 28 is one of the books from Kingston Library's video review. So if you've been following our social media, you know that since the first lockdown in March 2020, we've been doing lots of video reviews of books, ebooks and audiobooks. I think we have more than 100 now, so there's a lot to choose from. You can find all of the reviews on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. It might be easier to find them on our YouTube channel because they're all in the same playlist. Again, I'm going to put a link in the description to find them. And they're just, yes, we've been really enjoying doing that and trying to share with you some of our personal favorites. So yeah, I hope you will find what you want to read in it. I should also mention that if you want to make a video review for us, it is definitely possible. So send us a message on social media and we'll be really happy to hear from you and what you are reading at the moment. Category 21 is a book chosen at random. So this one is a bit of a joker. Either you can once again cheat and pretend you've chosen it at random if it doesn't fit in any other category and you really want to read that book. Or you can go to a library when it is safe to do so. Just close your eyes in front of a shelf and just pick a book at random with your eyes closed. Or if you wait a little bit, we're working on random book generators that you can just click on it and it will give you a book and you will have to read this one if you want to. So this one is also a little bit of a joker, but it's also quite exciting.
The book I'm going to be talking about is from category 30, which is a book with a title taken from song lyrics. I'm going to be talking about More Than a Woman by Caitlin Moran. This is a non-fiction book and is a sequel to her book How to Be a Woman, which is about feminism. However, you don't need to read that book to understand this one. This book is about Caitlin Moran's journey through her middle age, being a mother to teenagers, and her marriage, and as it gets to her middle-aged and how it changes and how being a woman changes in that time. It's a very new book, so it's not yet available on our ebook apps. However, you can still borrow it from our physical libraries once they are reopened.
Category 31, we're almost at the end, is a book that takes place in more than one country, and for that I decided to talk about The Muse by Jessie Burton. The Muse takes place in I think it's in modern day London, and in, I don't want to say some wrong information, in the past, in Mexico, I think, in South America. And it's the destiny of two women that are kind of interconnected, and as you will read the book, you will understand why these two time periods and why these two places and how people that are so different are actually really connected.
My recommendation for category 32, a book by a black author, is Ghost Boys by Jewel Parker Rhodes, available to be reserved as a physical book. When our library branches reopen, we are introduced to 12-year-old Jerome, a young black boy, the victim of a fatal shooting by a white police officer. He was playing with a toy gun, and yet the officer took his life, mistaking it for a real one. He returns as a ghost boy, and Jerome is horrified to discover the hundreds of other fellow ghost boys that are left to roam the streets of America. He witnesses the devastating impact his death has on his family, observes the flurry of media attention, and the author tackles the very current conscious and unconscious biases of race that not only happen in America, that are still very much present all around the world today.
My recommendation for category 33, a biography of a person who is alive today, my recommendation is Dear Fatty by Dawn French. This book is her autobiography told in the form of letters to everyone in her life, from her parents, to her siblings, to her colleagues and friends, to past lovers, past crushes, and to people she doesn't even know. It's a really hilarious journey through her life.
My recommendation for category 34, a book that takes place at sea, is a novel by Patrick Ness, titled And the Ocean Was Our Sky. You may reserve a physical copy once our library branches reopen. Everything we once knew about the relationship historically between man and whale and the tale of Moby Dick is torn apart at the seams and turned directly on its head in this rewriting of the story. We are introduced to Bathsheba, an apprentice whale, under the training and leadership of Captain Alexandra. She has a harpoon in her head, a everlasting mark left by the devil himself, Toby Wick. Together with her fellow whale apprentices, they are all trained to rid the sea of the murderous men that work for Toby Wick and who kill their relatives mercilessly. They each have harpoons strapped to their back, and they boldly approach an upturned manship. They expect to find treasure. They expect to find drowned humans. They do not expect to find a message, a direct invitation by Toby Wick himself for a confrontation to end all wars. Everything that was safe is gone. Everything that was known is challenged. And bravery of the darkest kind is what will get you through and ensure you are within a splash of surviving. My recommendation for category 35, a book which helps you escape, is Bridget Collins' The Binding, available as an ebook and e-audiobook on the Libya Overdrive app. You may also reserve a physical copy when our library branches reopen. Emmett Farmer is a binder's apprentice, and it is his job to store away a painful memory or to keep deeply hidden within beautiful turning pages the darkest secrets. However, you can imagine his curiosity and equal dismay that when he is going through his mentor's vault, he discovers a book with his very own name on it. My recommendation for category 36, a book that is not part of a series, is The Short Knife by Ellen Caldecott. Set in the author's native Wales, we witness the withdrawal of the Roman Empire from Britain and its sudden turmoil and dismay as it is thrown into the Dark Ages. May has been raised by her father and sister, and now, to her horror, she witnesses the invasion of the Saxons. As her family flee into the mountains, she must escape the British warlords that are lying in wait. This is a young woman who now knows that to speak her mother tongue will result in her death, and everything she once knew about the one she loves may have all been lies.
So that's all for this video. Thank you for staying until the end if you did. That was quite a long video to take in, and I hope you discovered some books that you actually want to read that you maybe didn't hear about before, or that you wanted to read and never thought it would be interesting to you, or I don't know. I hope you discovered some things. I hope you will be joining our reading challenge because it is really good fun. I feel like people who are participating are really enjoying it. Once again, you can join our Facebook group to chat with other reading challenge participants and discover new ideas, or even share your own readings if you want. During the year, we're going to have lots of events, potentially movie parties or tea breaks to talk about our reading, so have a look out on our different social media for that. And yeah, I hope you'll have a great reading challenge. Thank you!